we have a special guest who's going to share a few words of encouragement to you, who has been here since the beginning of Access Mode. And I would like to bring up Wendy Lee, who is a friend of Access Mode, a dear friend of mine and mentor, who was there at the beginning when Kevin and I began having these conversations about building a more inclusive tech ecosystem here in Colorado. Wendy is the CEO of Energize Colorado. She has been in the tech industry and helped to start a tech company, and has had her hands in many a tech company as mentor, advisor, and investor. And so, Wendy, we would like to welcome you up to share some words of encouragement with our founders.
Yeah. Okay, pretty cool, huh? Wow, I'm filled up, as they say, heart and head, all that fancy technology we have to take to market. I'm going to make my comments brief, mainly because I want to end with a poem, which I think is very appropriate for this experience we're having. So if you haven't grokked this yet, Access Mode is a non-trivial, a significant launch of a new majority accelerator. Okay, got that? The new majority. That's what Access Mode represents. Now, I know we have many awesome accelerators and incubators and entities across our ecosystem, and we're so proud to have them all. But I want us to really be clear about the intention of this particular entity and the impact it can make on Colorado's ecosystem, not just Denver's ecosystem. So I want to start with that. My next comment is around community. We've heard this word a lot, and I just want to double click on that. Community is about connections. It's about a network of networks. And an energized community, we have plenty of those. And so I want to acknowledge a few of those right now. First of all, my friend Dave Secunda introduced me to Zanetta. And Zanetta had to have a little talk with me because I would never pronounce her name properly. Being from the South, you know, I was respectful, like, okay, I screwed that up not once but twice. And then Dave had to correct me, but apologies for all that, but now I'm real clear on how to pronounce your name, and what a pleasure it's been to watch you with persistence and tenacity and passion and clarity to kind of pull this off. It's amazing. Lucky man, lucky girl to have co-partners, but this is a very big deal. But I want to start with that connection. There are others. I won't go on, but I want to talk to Patsy. Where was she? She was right. Oh, there she, okay. So Patsy was first introduced to me by one of we have a bunch of board bodies inside Energize Colorado, but we had the Gap Fund Executive Committee run by Kent Thiry in the beginning, who is a colleague and friend of Aaron Trapps, who runs Colorado Thrives. Anyway, Patsy was introduced to me by Mike Ferrafino. And I remember this email, it was just chock full of all these beautiful statements. You got to meet Patsy, you got to know her, blah, blah, blah. And so it took us a while, but we got on the phone. But the most important story is the last time she and I talked, like I was in California and I was going through kind of a really important weekend for me in my personal life. And I had a meeting with her on Zoom, and I remember that so well. And you were kind and humble, and you're just a smart chick. You're going to make this happen. I know you know that, but I just want to let you know that that connection is non-trivial. So I could go on and on. We've got Taylor McLemore here from Techstars. We have Natty here from Techstars. I kind of remember day one of Techstars. Yes, I am that old because it seems like it was decades, I think it was a couple of decades ago. But you know, when you're part of a community, especially a community of passionate, hardworking humans, that present as entrepreneurs, and those of us that have been entrepreneurs and still are, this is not for the faint of heart. So when folks say, oh, well, Wendy's done this and that, look, mostly I've failed. One time I did really well, and I was bootstrapped. And then I remember thinking, that was so cool that I remember Brad Feld saying to me, you got an exit. I'm like, I don't know what that is. It sounds awful. I did not want to exit my business ever. It was my child. What do you mean, exit? He goes, when you introduce yourself to people in Boulder, we had just moved to Boulder, just say you got an exit. All will be well. I remember telling my husband, like, should I really say that? Is that true? He goes, yes, honey, it is. I said, okay. But I mean, all these things matter. This is about community. And then I'll end my remarks before I read my poem, because I want you to be patient and present when I read it. I'll end my remarks with this. What you need as an entrepreneur are connections that last. You don't need a coffee meeting and a bunch of blah, blah. You don't have time for that. We may think we want to have that coffee meeting because we need something, but we really don't have time, and you don't either. So if you're going to lean in to help, be centered and authentic about how you can. And if you aren't, please don't even just, have it just to say, to tell Zanetta or Kevin that you have, right? It doesn't work out well that way. So the connections we need for this first cohort are connections to capital. Let's start there. Talent, because we have teams, but we're going to need more because we're going to scale. And the third thing we need connection to are customers. The best way, Aaron and Taylor and I were talking about that earlier, the best way to grow a business is by selling stuff, right? Now, equity's cool and the cap tables are great, but you sell stuff, you get to hire people, and you get to improve your product. Selling stuff is a good thing. And then you have to, of course, learn how to market it too, because selling sometimes doesn't scale. But you can talk to Zanetta about that, because she's a professional marketer. So I just want to say thank you all for working so hard and for giving your energy, your time. The opportunity cost to be an entrepreneur is crazy making, but it is the most rewarding professional career I can think of. And I'll end on this, since I kind of think about the economy a lot. It is what our country needs to solve its ills. Because large companies, although we love them, and we love them very much because they buy stuff from us, we hope, but what solves economic issues is this: more entrepreneurs starting up and more connections to help them continue. So I'm going to end on those comments, and I'm going to read a poem. Is that okay? And so who knows Jerry Colonna in the room? I know some folks do. So Jerry Colonna is an awesome guy, a former VC. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Now he does a session. It's called Reboot, or it's capabilities. It's not just a session. But I went one time when I was having a really tough part of my life. I had to get rid of a company. I was a 7-figure investor. It was all going south. I'd raised a bunch of money. It wasn't going well. And I was stressed as they get, right? And so I went to this weekend boot camp thingy, and he gave us some poems. And we had assignments every night because we were all stressed out, and we read them to each other. And I'm going to read from one of them because it's about leadership. And when I think about leading, I don't think about just a company. I think about community leadership. And I want all of us to lean into that for Denver, for Colorado, and for the United States. So, okay, I'm going to put this down for a minute. Do you like this? That's my napkin for my kitchen table. It's very impressive. Okay, so this is one of my favorites, and I'm sure some of you have heard it. Okay. Get rid of all my fancy. Okay, so this is by John O'Donohue, for those of you that love poetry. and it's called For a Leader. I'm going to pace it because I really want you to let this sink in because it's very important to all of us. May you have the grace and wisdom to act kindly, learning to distinguish between what is personal and what is not. May you be hospitable to criticism. May you never put yourself at the center of things. May you act not from arrogance, but out of service. May you work on yourself, building up and refining the ways of your mind and your heart. May those who work for you know you, you see, and respect them. May you learn to cultivate the art of presence in order to engage with those who meet you. Very important in these coffee meetings we take, to be present, to pay attention. When someone fails, or disappoints you, may the graciousness with which you engage be their stairway to renewal and refinement. That takes my breath away. May you treasure the gifts of the mind through reading and creative thinking. I'm almost done. So that you continue as a servant of the frontier, where the new will draw its enrichment from the old. And may you never become a functionary. May you know the wisdom of deep listening, the healing of wholesome words, the encouragement of the appreciative gaze, the decorum of held dignity, the springtime edge of the bleak question. May you have a mind that loves frontiers so that you can evoke the bright fields that lie beyond the view of the regular eye. May you have good friends to mirror your blind spots. May leadership be for you a true adventure of growth.